Today we'll be going over some of the tips and tricks that I like to use in Bluebeam Revu. Unlike some of our previous webinars where we kind of focus on one facet of the program or one particular functionality of the program, and kind of go in depth on that. We're going to be a little bit more, not all over the place, but we're going to be bouncing around a little bit today to several different features, kind of customizing the UI, little things in sub menus that you may not be aware of. Happy to share that stuff with you. One of the first things I want to go over is the UI of Bluebeam. Most of you might be pretty familiar with the default user interface of Bluebeam that comes out right out of the box. If you're not, you can go to right click or left click up on Revu in the top left corner, and under Profiles, you'll see that Revu is checked. This is just the basic default Revu profile. And what a profile does is it kind of stores all of the customized UI information, window locations, things like that. If you click on Advanced, you'll notice that things change a little bit. So not only do I have the panels on the left-hand side, but I also have some on the right so that I can modify different parameters at the same time, which is very nice. You can customize these even further by just clicking and dragging. Oh my goodness. All right. If you click and drag it out, it'll detach it from the window. If that happens, like it just did to me, you can just right click on the icon and go to attach. It'll give you the options to attach it to left, right, bottom, or to detach it. So we'll just put it back on the left and move it back up. There we go. That's where I want it. Okay. So I actually created my own custom profile, which I really like because it's set up for using two monitors. Let me just switch to that. I know you won't be able to see the two monitors, but I think you'll be able to see the advantages. The markup list that normally appears down here at the bottom of the screen now is kind of floating as its own window, and I have it set up to show up on my other monitor. Again, obviously you can't see two monitors in this presentation, so we're going to keep it to one, but it just keeps things from getting a little bit busy. I have a lot more screen real estate to work with everything, and I can see all my markups a lot more clearly, especially if I switch to a document that has a lot. It's a lot easier to go through it when you have all the screen real estate to see everything clearly. But let me go ahead and switch back to Revu. If you right click on any of the toolbars up at the top or on the right, you'll notice that you can select what sorts of options you want to see in those bars. You can also customize the functions that are located in those. So if I click the customize button, the way this works is you have your categories of all the buttons. So over here are all the buttons that you can push in Revu. This is literally all, since I just selected the all. These are all of the different buttons, and these are the toolbars. So if I wanted to add document properties to my document management toolbar, I would just select that, and there it is, and it will show up once I hit OK up here.
Hey, David.
Yes.
Somebody was asking, how do you pop up the markup view for moving it to a second screen?
Oh, great question. Kind of glazed over that. Thanks for stopping me on that. Yeah. So the markup list can be kind of confusing. It lives down here in this bottom left corner. So I click that, it flies up. Click that again, it flies down. Or if you click on your mouse will turn into this little double arrow bar thing. Click that up. And the way to detach it would be to right click. And it's pretty a little bit unintuitive because it's actually under the attach menu, and then you click on detach, and now you can there we go. And now we can pull this over to my other monitor, do whatever I want with that. And to detach or reattach it, simply right click, attach, and I put it back on the bottom. And once I've customized my profile the way I like it, go back to profiles and you can save it. And then anytime you switch to a new document, you could load that up and all your changes will be saved. I'm actually going to switch to Review Advanced because personally, I do like to have panels on the left and on the right. One thing I don't like, though, for the default Review Advanced, I like having my tool chest over. Oh my God, killing me. All right. Attached to the right. I like that because I can customize the tools using the properties panel on the left, and then I have my tool chest on the right. So it just gives me a little bit more flexibility. Like if I were to select this call out for under Architect Review, and now I have my polygon properties over here that I can edit and kind of go back and forth like that. Now, one neat thing that I wanted to bring your attention to is the ability to add multiple leader lines to a call out. So I'll just create a normal call out measurement. So let's do this. Let me point out this meeting room over here. This is a meeting room, meeting room. But if I also wanted to point out this was a meeting room as well, I can right click on my markup and I can add a leader over here. Add another one, and so on and so forth. Obviously, you can also delete it in the same way. And that's just a useful way to, you don't have to create separate markups for, the same thing essentially, because this will all show up in my markup list as a single markup, right? So I'm not creating, multiple markups just to point out the meeting room. I have that all kind of in one.
Excellent, thanks. And also, Joseph was wondering, can you make the Bluebeam screen full screen? I know you were showing some tips here.
I believe it is full screen on my monitor. Is it showing? How's it showing up for the screen share?
It is full screen right now.
It is full screen. Okay, maybe I think they just meant to get rid of that busy stuff. Yeah, I could totally relate to that because when we're working with a lot of the different tools, especially if the markup list is here and you have your properties over here, and then you got your tool chest over here. It's like, where's my actual, my actual workspace is just this, which is really where multiple monitors does come in handy. Yeah, I definitely can relate to that. And also on that note, you could detach any of these panels. So if I can also detach my tool chest panel and have that on my other monitor with the markup list as well, that's just another option. Obviously, I am a little bit constrained here because I can only present one monitor at a time. but yeah, I can totally relate to things getting a little bit crowded. I like having a clean workspace, clean mind. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to touch on was the ability to add markups to multiple pages at the same time. So for example, if you are rubber stamping something, or if you wanted to add a certain symbology to the same spot on multiple pages, for example, let's use one of these guys. Don't know, let's pick a random one. This guy. Okay. Putting him here, wherever. I'm not really being, judicious about where I'm putting it. But if I wanted to put that across all of my pages, I can select all of them by holding Shift. You can also select by using the going to the select button or pushing the V key if you're in the hand. Oh, while I'm selecting things, when you drag a box, it does work similar to AutoCAD or Rhino, where if you're dragging from left to right, it will only select what is fully encompassed by the box. Right to left, anything that intersects the box. So similar to other CAD softwares. So if I right click on all of those markups, I could go down to apply to pages. And then I hit OK. And then that's put those markups on the same place in each page. That's useful if you are maybe signing documents, stamping documents, for example, using a approved stamp, or for example, a signature stamp. That might have been a better example. I can make my signature over here and then apply that to all pages. And now I have my signature down there in every page. So good way to save some time, reduce fatigue of doing the same thing over and over. Now you'll notice that this text box is a little bit, could be a little bit small. If I right click and click on auto size text box, that will adjust the text box to the size of, to be in line with the scale of the page. I actually think it was also auto sized already, because I probably have that, set in my preferences. So in Review, Preferences, and then under Tools, you can set it to auto size text box and call out markups, which is very useful when you're dealing with documents of different scales, because you don't want to have to keep resizing everything, which you might have to do anyway, but it just keeps things a little bit more in line with what is legible on the document. Okay. Another thing while I'm in the preferences window, under grid and snap on general, it's sometimes helpful to turn on snap to content. If I turn this off, drawing a line will, it's snapping to the markup. So that's not a great example, but it's not snapping to this line over here. If I wanted it to do that, I would go back and turn on snap to markup, which I think is, or snap to content, which is, I think, very helpful, especially if you're trying to grab, perimeters, follow contours of a drawing. You can do that much more easily if you turn that on. Turn it back on. Snap to content. Snap to markup. I actually generally like to turn that off because otherwise it can get a little bit busy when you just keep snapping to all the different markups that you have on a document. And okay, going forward, one thing I want to bring up is the studio collaboration features. Just want to touch on those quickly. So right here, I have a studio project set up. And I have all of my documents in here. But one thing you might not know is that you can have any kind of file in a studio project. So you're not limited to just PDF files, or not limited to just PDF files. You can have any kind of file in here. Under user access and permissions, you can drill down a little bit deeper into what you want your project members to have access to. By default, anyone that you invite will have only read access. So you have to go in there and kind of give the people that you want the right access to the files. Now, if you're a big organization and you work with a lot of projects and a lot of sessions, you might have noticed that there isn't a way to manage all of that stuff from a higher level, at least not in the default studio. But with Studio Prime, which is an additional studio upgrade feature, you can. So I want to show you that. Let's see if it's gateway.bluebeam.com. I think I got that right. You know what? Let's just go here. That's the way I know how to do it. Click on drawings by accident with my giant mouse. Okay, log in here. fat fingers must have, there we go. Presentation nerves got me. Okay, and now let me go to, is my Studio Prime. Okay, well, I'm probably not on the right link, but I will show you that. I could probably pull that up in a little bit. But Studio Prime basically gives you the overview of all of the projects that your organization has open. And actually, I think it's, if I go to Studio, I think this should do it. All right. Yeah, that's it. So now I can kind of get a good overview of all of the different projects that my organization is working on. I have insight into the different files, the different attendees. I can do things like go into my Studio usage reports. Obviously, I'm like mostly the only person that uses Studio this heavily. So this is all me, but if you had a lot of users, you'll see all of that. So this is just a really useful way to get a top level view of everything going on in your organization with the different projects. Might not be useful for some smaller organizations, but if you do a lot of time, spend a lot of time managing projects and whatnot, it might be a useful option for you to explore.
Thanks, David. Can I ask you a couple of questions as you're showing this?
Sure.
Excellent. First of all, I'm assuming, but could you confirm that you're using Revu 2020? Yeah,
I am using Revu 2020.
Okay.
To confirm, it's just in the top left, version 20.
Thank you.
Most recent version. Yep.
I understand. So somebody was like saying, Jen, and a couple of other people said that they noticed their symbol section that they don't have all of this. And how do you load them?
Oh, great question.
I thought they were working on a lesser or an older version, but they confirmed they're working on 20 as well.
Well, so some of these are not built in to Bluebeam by default. Some of these tool sets I have imported. Some of them I've created. So going to my tool chest dropdown and clicking on Manage Tool Sets, you can see all the different tool sets that I have here. So I have symbols, broken down into different. Some of them are, I think, are a little redundant. Like I don't know if I need symbols and then construction symbols and design symbols, but yeah, I got a little out of hand there. But what's nice about the tool sets is that once you create them, you can export them and share them with people across your organization. So I can export this, send it over to my my colleagues. And for sharing, and they could use all of the same tools that I already set up. Actually, let me here. So Bluebeam actually has a few tool sets that you can download yourself. So I did find those custom libraries. So at support.bluebeam.com/review-custom-libraries, if you click on tool sets, it'll take you down to a bunch of different tool sets by discipline that you might find useful to bring into your Bluebeam. So not a very well advertised feature, which is probably why it's a good thing it's coming up here in the tips and tricks webinar. Because yeah, there's a lot over here. You can go ahead and import any of these into your own Bluebeam. For example, if I wanted to grab these, let's see, we get kitchen furniture, that'll download. And then I can go back to tool sets, hit import it to wherever I downloaded it to. I think that was actually a different tool set, but you get the idea. Yeah, I just didn't want to like dig around all my my files in there. So now I have my electrical tool set. symbols. And, if you have all of these in your Bluebeam, it's going to be pretty busy, right? We got a lot of stuff over here. That's why it's helpful to kind of go into manage tool sets, and you can hide the ones that you don't necessarily need all the time. You could also link them to different profiles, right? So if I am a electrical consultant, I might need my electrical tool set. But if I'm in the same organization and I'm an engineer, I might keep my engineer review tool set, and I can switch between different profiles to see the different different tools. Like, for example, going to this SCDOT, which is actually the I think South Carolina Department of Transportation. This was a profile provided by them to people working with them, doing bids and whatnot. So clicking on that will load up all of their custom tool chests. So now you can see the interface has changed a little bit because they customized it differently. This stuff is on the left. I have a few things on the right. And now I have all of these different tool chests that I may or may not need. So again, profiles are a great way to kind of keep everything a little bit siloed. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with things that you don't need on a regular basis. Kind of keeping you focused and on the task at hand. So while I'm on the topic of tools, let me go back to my regular profile. Review advanced. So recent tools is going to store all of the markups that you create since you've opened a document. So everything that I've done since opening Bluebeam is in here in this list. Clicking on any of them, I can reuse them simply and easily. And if I wanted to save them for later, I can just click and drag into any other box. All right. Now, right here, I have it looks like a Cloud Plus markup, and I'm going to click it. But now it's already in that the same setup that it was when I placed it. That's not really what I want. I want to use the same formatting and just make a different markup. And so for that, I would right click on this and I'd make sure that I'm in properties mode, which will look like this. So going to drawing mode, it's going to display as the, let me make this a little bit bigger. So it's going to display as the actual, what it's going to come in as, right? In properties mode, it looks more like a general formatting markup. So I click that, and now I can create a new markup with the same parameters, the same formatting, and everything else. So there's two different use cases. Both of them are useful. I think it's important to know you can switch back and forth. Again, right click on it and switch to drawing mode. Okay. So one other thing you can do is you can apply a scale to your tool sets. So if I click on the gear symbol and I click on set scale, now I can calibrate my markups to a different scale. So for example, a symbol in a tool set configured with a baseline scale of 1 inch to 1 foot becomes proportionally smaller when placed on a document set to 1 inch to 10 feet. So you can set the scale of the markup, which I should note will then be overridden if you chose to automatically resize it to the page. If you need to translate your markups, you can right click and select the, it should have a translate button. Where is it? Oh, you know what? I think I have to. No. I could have sworn there was a way to translate the markup into a different language. I know it's in there somewhere. Let's see. Oh, I apologize. It's not in the right click. It's actually under document, translate all markups. So a bunch of different languages, and I think you might need to download some of them. It's powered by Google, so it'll access those via the cloud. But if I want to change this to whatever language, I can just hit OK, and that'll translate all the markups. Obviously, you might want to go over it again with someone that is native in the language that you're translating it to, since you don't know how it will translate, but that option is available to you within Bluebeam. So you can also adjust the color in your PDFs. Let me pull one up that has some coloration to it, like this one. If you go to document and go to color processing, you get a bunch of different options. You can colorize a black and white or a black and white PDF. So you can see the previews on the bottom. You can make it grayscale. You can also switch colors. So if I wanted to change, let's say, I'm going to change blue. I'm going to change that to red. You can see that over there that that blue text is now red. You can keep going if you want to do that, which could be a useful way to make things a little bit more legible. Just another tool that Bluebeam has baked in that you might not have been aware of. Additionally, reduce file size and repair PDF are some very useful tools for one for optimizing your documents, the other for if anything goes wrong in an export, or if you got something from an outside consultant and things are a little bit wonky, click on repair and it will give you these different options. Usually you just want to check them all unless you kind of know exactly what you want to repair. Hit OK and it'll go through the document, and anything that might be a little bit wonky, it'll repair. And reduce file size is pretty useful. If you click on this edit preset button, you'll get a more in-depth menu when this is done analyzing. Okay, and now you can kind of see the breakdown of the file, what portion of it is images and content, fonts, things like that. You can see that broken down here. You can see the different compression options for images over here. Fonts, you might want to drop embedded, whatever. And then miscellaneous ways to reduce file size. So the biggest way to save file size is by compressing the images, and then sometimes by dropping unneeded fonts. So just a little useful tool there. And one other thing I wanted to go over is the dynamic fill markup tool, which is found under the measurement panel. It's usually all the way at the end. So if you don't see it, either fly out your measurements panel or click on the arrow. And it's this one that looks like kind of a beaker with waves in it. And what that does is this opens up this little toolbar that kind of floating. And instead of taking my polyline tool and tracing this to get a perimeter measurement, for example, I can click on this fill button and fill this in. Get that one over there. Great. So now I have that whole shape filled in. Only took me like 5 seconds, and I can apply a area measurement to it. I can apply a perimeter measurement to it, whatever I want to do. If I click on this arrow on the right, I can even add one of my own customized measurements to it. So let me make this flooring and concrete, hit apply. And now I have that whole section all marked out instead of having to use the line tool, do all that tracing. Not that fun. Your mileage may vary depending on how high quality the PDF export is. For example, in some documents, like for example, this one, which I actually had some issues with the other day. If I try to do a fill over here, it just passes right through. And that's because if we go down a little bit deeper, we notice that this is actually not a very clean PDF. Yeah. Turn those off. So you see that there's some broken lines in there. Actually, I think they're over here. Yeah, right there. You see one right there. So I think that's a result of exporting as a raster, not a vector, but it depends on the host program that you're working with. So your mileage may vary on the dynamic fill tool. Like this over here is obviously pretty messy. It's not going to play nice with that. But if you have a clean PDF, then it's it's very useful. Any questions, Annalisa? Well, we're kind of at the end of the, or close to the end, I should say.
Yes, actually, we have loads of questions.
Yeah, I can see that now. Oh my goodness.
I should just say that we probably will not have time to answer all of them, but I just want to tell people that we would be getting back to you with all of this. So I'll start with John's question. Can Revit export PDFs with Bluebeam readable drawing scales for measurement?
Good question. I believe that it can. I think with the Bluebeam plugin within Revit, you can do that. I'll be honest, I haven't played with that in a while, but if you wanted to shoot me an email, support@microsolresources.com, I'd be happy to look into it and get back to you. Revit isn't my my program of choice usually, so I'm not as well versed in that as I am in some of the other CADs. But I'd be happy to look into it and let you know.
Sounds great. Thank you. Stephen wants to find out, is there a way to separate a file consisting of several pages into its individual pages without extracting one page at a time?
Great question, my man. If I go to Document, Extract Pages, and if I select all pages, I can make sure that I have Extract Pages as separate files selected. And then I can also select use page label to name the files. Otherwise, it'll just kind of use the normal file name. In this case, it would be architecture set, and then it would be architecture set 1, 2, 3, 4. So whichever you wanted to do with that. But yeah, you can just do under Document Extract.
I understand, and it's probably one of the best or the best feature for it. Now, John wants to find out, any expert tips about setting recommendations for PDFing architecture drawings from Revit with the Bluebeam PDF driver?
See, that's another one. I'll have to get back to you on that one, John. Again, I'm not as well versed in the Revit world, but I'd be happy to work with my colleagues and get you an answer on that. Usually, I just use the default settings, but again, not a Revit expert. So yeah, okay. I'll get back to you on that one.
Sounds great. And then again, it's interesting to hear the word PDFing became a verb nowadays. But yes, at this time, does Bluebeam Revu offer an app for iPad and iPhone? They felt that the current one doesn't have the full functioning features. Any tips?
So yeah, the app at this time is mostly for doing like references in the field markups and stuff like that. You do not get the full set of tools in the app that you do get on the desktop version, unfortunately. I don't know about their future plans, but I believe I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think there might be options of browser-based ones going forward in the future. So stay tuned
yes,
for that.
Look
But
out for
they are aware. We got so many questions to get to. I did see one about losing the markup list. If you lose any of the panels under Window panels, you'll have them all over here. So if don't be scared if you lose them, just go into there and you'll be able to grab it back.
Fantastic. Is there any shortcuts to add grid lines to the plans?
I believe there is, yes. If I go to view, I can do show grid. So the could be
what's that? Is that shift
F9?
F9. Fantastic.
Yeah, and there's also if you go into help, there's also the shortcuts guide over here that you can load up. But yeah, not as useful as having it on the mouse pad.
Okay, sounds good. And I'll share that with everybody that attended today. Okay, so Andre wants to find out, if I want to count multiple things in one large PDF, how do I create another one of those round counting things that they come standard in the red and yellow, but in different toolboxes? Let's say one blue and one in green.
Okay. I think, I'm pretty sure I know what he's referring to. Let me see. So let's see, where is it? Goodness. Okay. So like, for example, this count measurement, if I wanted to customize it, I could, first I could click on it and then go to my properties panel. And then I can change the look of it over here. So I can make it a triangle.
Can you change the colors too?
Sure can. Make it
excellent. Okay.
Green.
There you go, Andre.
Mm-hmm. Hope that answers the question.
Okay. Christine wants to find out, for the markup panel, I right click and hide. Now I can find it.
That's the one that I wanted to address that. Yeah. Always sucks when you lose that. F11 to go full screen. That's what he meant.
Yes.
I see. Would have loved to have done that, but then I wouldn't be able to show some of the stuff. But yes. Yeah, if you need a little bit more security in real estate, Stephen, F11 full screen, we'll do that.
And said here, you can also add leaders to leader notes using shift while on the base of the first leader. Does that make sense? Good
to know.
See, we're getting tips from our audience as well.
Awesome. I mean, I'm not surprised. I have worked with Bluebeam a lot. I would not say that I've I'm still learning.
Stephen wants to find out, can different markups be put on different layers and then selectively display them while hiding others? I guess they just want to find out more about layers.
Yeah, you sure can. Pull my layers. This one doesn't have that many layers over here. Actually, all these documents don't have that many layers.
Is this a data set from Bluebeam, right?
This is, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
This is. Yeah, if you can create different layers for different disciplines or markups, however you might want to organize it. And then what you can do is, like, for example, I'll take this one. I can right click and I can add it to, a new layer, for example, test. I'm just going to run through that real quick. So now if I turn off my flooring, it doesn't do anything, but I can also then turn off the test, and that'll do that. And if you have different markups on different layers, you can kind of, manipulate that to see what you want to see a little bit easier.
Okay, sounds great. Any resources for creating custom hatch and line types?
Custom hatch and line types. Not at the moment. No. What you have are the built-in ones. But I believe that there are plans to be able to import and export different hatch patterns.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question though. That's a good question. I get that not infrequently.
Sounds good. And then this is about scaling back again. When do the pages do not have a scale, and how do you add a scale?
Oh, actually, to touch on the hatch patterns real quick again. Yes. Actually, it does look like you can add additional hatch pattern sets now. that must be relatively.
So where did you come from? How did you get there?
Yeah. So if you're manipulating a markup, for example, this area one that I selected, and I go to my hatch pattern, then you have the option to click on manage, and now you can import and export different pattern libraries.
Got it.
So sorry, I was wrong. Just wanted to correct myself. And then the question just then was, I'm sorry.
When do the pages do not have a scale, and how do you add the scale?
Gotcha. If the pages do not have a scale, first of all, if you try to measure anything, it'll immediately prompt you to add the scale. But if you want to add one yourself, click on the measurements panel, and under scale, you can click calibrate, which will let you do it via, kind of your own measurements. So doing this and then saying that's 4 to 6, or if you know what the page scale should be, you can go to preset and you could select from the list. Actually, on that topic, if you have a document or a page that has more than one scale, like this one, what you'll want to use is this viewports panel on the bottom. So, for example, I have this general note over here that's in one scale. Well, actually, they're both the same scale, but if I wanted to make it a different scale, I could. And then everything within this purview would be this scale. Actually, you could probably see that better in this page, where I have two very obviously different scales, since one is an elevation and one is a plan view. So this one is 140, and then this one would be 12-inch one.
Fantastic. Talk about great tips. So can I just share something? Andre starting a best quote ever. He said that PDFing is so 2018. In our house, bluebeaming is a verb now.
Andre, I'll give you credit for that one. That's good.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. So Mark said it would be nice to have a call out where the bounding box is turned off, but you can control the line weight of the remaining leader arrow. I don't know if it's in the works, because right now you can reduce the line weight to remove the box, but you're stuck with the default line weight for the leader arrow. Yeah.
Oh, I see what he means. Yeah.
Yeah. We can bring that back to Bluebeam for product, tips and for the product development team. Right. And we can ask them too.
Yeah, for sure. That's actually a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. I agree.
Yeah. And Amanda wants to find out, are you able to collaborate with consultants using two different versions of Bluebeam? Is this like a John question, 2019 and 2020 versions?
You sure are.
You are. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Where do you load Studio?
Studio is loaded up in the Studio panel, which will look like this guy over here.
What is that? Okay. Got it.
And if you're not signed in, it'll prompt you to sign in. I'm not going to sign out because it'll mess everything up.
Okay. Sounds great. And is there a way to have more than one session open at a time?
I think so. Yes, there is. You would just have to go back to the session panel. Actually, there's not. You can only have one active session at a time. I apologize.
That's such a shame. Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you delete a studio session?
You delete a studio session by finishing the session. So if I go back into my session, I would have to not leave. Leaving just leaves the session, doesn't finish it. I'd have to go to finish, and then that'll prompt me to save the file. Like, what do I want to do with the file that we were working on, et cetera. And then that closes it all out. Okay. If they mean deleting it completely from like all records of Studio, that you might need a Studio Prime for to get into the back end. And actually, speaking of Studio Prime, I see Steven has a question. Does everyone need it or just one admin? So it would be just an admin setting, because the way Studio Prime works is that you buy it in like a package of users. So like Studio Prime level 1 will cover up to 100 members, so to speak. One person will be the admin, and then you can have up to 100 members of the org invited into the umbrella of that Studio Prime account.
Can we just ask a quick question from Liz? Is there a way to send an email to all the attendees in a studio session?
There should be, yes. So let's see. So you mean to like draft an email? I'm not sure if they mean to draft an email and send it to all of them, or if to send like an email through Bluebeam. But
I think through Bluebeam from the session. Yeah.
Okay. Then there's a few ways. If you go to manage notifications.
Excellent. Okay.
You'll go to, and this is just notifications for you. If you want to notify someone else of something, so like you go here, this, and then I can do alert attendee. If I right click on a markup, and then I can choose.
And is that coming through an email, that alert attendee?
You know, that depends on them. It's one of those things that, you know, so if otherwise, you know, people could get bombarded by notifications and whatever, if they, you know, whether they want to or not. So that's why this manage notifications, like if they have this. So
they have to opt in. Okay. Depending
they'd have to opt in.
Yeah.
Otherwise people could get like bombarded by nonsense. So like I see both sides for sure. You know, of that.
I understand. And I think, you know, maybe like it's one of those things when you're working in a session, you should like try to find out about rules of engagement, right? So
yeah,
set up notifications so everybody's familiar how they would be notified.
Right. And you can also kind of do a little bit with permissions as well at different groups.
Okay.
You could also do right click an email, which should, okay. Yeah, excellent. So that'll do that. I don't think you can do them all at once by multi-selecting.
Got it. Can we answer a quick question from Andre?
Yeah, we sure
his
can.
Tools are assigned numbers for keyboard shortcuts. Can he assign letters instead of numbers?
Doesn't look like it, Andre. Yeah, it's a good question.
Maybe it's something else we can bring back to Bluebeam.
Yeah, because it looks like they're automatically assigned when you create them. You know, like if I wanted 15, I just do 1.5.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're key bindings.
Yeah.
You may be, Andre, you may be able to find a key binding software on the internet that can allow you to you know, change the key bindings for Bluebeam. But I'm not sure of anything that is specifically built into Bluebeam or made for Bluebeam, but that would be my best recommendation.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Do either one of you, David or John, know how do you do estimating? Or John does estimating and interested in linking on-screen takeoffs to Excel.
That's actually in Bluebeam Extreme feature. And if I could.
The quantity link function.
Yeah, that'll be
the
quantity link. So if I pull up Excel very quickly, again, this is bear in mind, I did not prepare for any quantity link, so spare your you know, criticisms. But if I right click on a cell, I can go to this quantity link, and I could do create, and it'll ask me you know, what file I want to link to, you know, whatever, and then what parameters I want to link to that particular cell, and then it'll live update. So yes, you can. That's a feature in Bluebeam Extreme.
Okay, and then John, if they have a version CAD or other version, how do they get to Extreme? Do they contact you to find out? That's an upgrade, right?
So it depends on what your maintenance status is. It could be an upgrade, it could be a cross grade. This is one of the things that it'd be best to email Bluebeam at microsolresources.com and just you know, let me know what you're interested in, and I'd be more than happy to set up a phone call with you. You know, whether it requires a demo or a quick phone call, we can figure that out. But I'm always glad to you know, consult anybody on optimizing you know, their Bluebeam environment, whether that's through maintenance, upgrades, cross grades. You know, so please feel free to inquire through Bluebeam at microsolresources.com if you'd like to have a discussion.
you.